I'm not self-made, I'm God-made. Welcome to my channel. So this is the reason why God made you wait so long, and it's bigger than you can imagine. I want to read for you this scripture passage. This is one of my favorite passages that I like to read, and you may have heard it before, but if you have, just hear it again. And if you hadn't, listen to this. So this comes out of the book of Luke, chapter 18. And this is where Jesus is speaking a parable of the unjust judge. And it says, and he spake a parable unto them to this end, that men ought always to pray and not to faint, saying, there was in a city a judge, which feared not God, neither regarded man. And there was a widow in that city, and she came unto him, saying, avenge me of mine adversary. And he would not for a while. But afterward he said within himself, though I fear not God, nor regard man, yet because this widow troubleth me, I will avenge her, lest by her continual coming she weary me. And the Lord said, hear what the unjust judge saith. And shall not God avenge his own elect, which cry day and night unto him, though he bear long with them? I tell you that he will avenge them speedily. So right there, we can see that God is saying that he bears long with us, right? So just like the widow came to that unjust judge. Do you think that the widow did not know that that was an unjust judge? Right? She knew that. Like, sometimes, I don't know if you've ever gone through the court systems or ever, had an issue that you had to take to court. But a lot of times the people always tell you, oh, that judge, they're going to be hard. They never rule in the favor of, so-and-so or such a people, And as you can imagine, this widow knew, okay, this is the judge that does not have any mercy. This is the judge that does not show any mercy, has no heart. He's cold-hearted. But guess what? I'm going to go to him. And not only am I going to go to him, I'm not going to ask, please, judge, would you avenge me of my adversaries, please? No, she put a demand. Avenge me of my adversaries. Whether you like it or not, I don't care if you're an unjust judge, if you don't fear God, avenge me of my adversaries. And she kept coming to that judge. And so the Lord is giving this example because he's saying, though God bear long with us. So some of us, we have been crying out day and night. We have been praying for God to do some things in our lives, and it's been years that we have been asking. It's been years. I don't know about you, but I've been asking for God to get me out of debt, and it's been years. I've had student loans for over 10 years, right? And if you get discouraged, and think that God is not hearing you, you will stop coming. You will give up. You won't be like this widow woman who keeps coming to the unjust judge. But why is God bearing long with us? Why is God making us wait? Number one, he's building up your spiritual muscles, right? Because some of us have such a lack of faith that we only pray one time. And if we don't get it on the first prayer, we're like, okay, God, I'm out. I'm about to go figure out how to get this because you're taking too long. You feel what I'm saying? You don't have no patience. The other ones of us say, well, it's just not working. It's not working. I prayed and I asked God to, bless my business and, it didn't work. So, now I got to quit and I got to go back to my 9 to 5. I got to go back to hustling or no. So God is building up your spiritual muscles. Number one, it says those that cry out day and night. So God is trying to test you and prove you that you're going to keep coming to him, right? No matter if you see it on the first time, the second time, the third time, if you don't see it, if it's been years, are you going to turn your back on God? Or are you going to keep coming to God and you're going to keep believing? So that's number one. Number two, God wants to see if you're going to continue to have faith. Because it says, nevertheless, when the Son of Man cometh, shall he find faith on this earth. So it was faith that got the widow woman to keep going and putting a demand on the unjust judge who she had heard and known was a stubborn man and was not going to rule in her favor. Her faith is the thing that pushed her forward and made her keep coming and demanding until she got her vengeance on her adversaries. So when you cry out to God day and night, when you have the faith that keeps pushing you forward and you're saying within yourself, I don't know when it's coming. I don't know how it's coming, but I know my breakthrough is coming. I'm going to keep coming to God. God, you've got to turn this situation around. God, they did me wrong on the job. God, they took my money from me. God, they took my promotion. God, they did me dirty. God, I want you to avenge me. Right? Because so many of us have been beat down by life. So many of us are the underdogs of life. So many of us have been underestimated, right? So they call us the disadvantaged people, right? And so because they call us that, that's the identity that we have accepted about ourselves. We have accepted that we're disadvantaged. We have accepted that we're underestimated. We have accepted that we're the underdog. And so we stop expecting anything from out of our lives. We start acting like the underdog. We start acting like the disadvantaged. We start acting like the underestimated. And we don't see nothing better for our future. And so we began to accept the status quo, and we began to accept the things the way they are. We've been living in rental houses our whole life. Our mother was living in a rental house. Everybody we know lives in an apartment. Everybody know we live in public housing. I don't ever know how I'll be able to buy a house. However, I'll be able to live in a beautiful neighborhood. Everybody know gets payday loans. I don't know how I'll be able to stop living paycheck to paycheck. Everybody knows is a janitor or only making $20 an hour. I don't know how I'll ever be able to get more than that. So you start living like an underdog. You start accepting that you've been beat down by life. And you stop coming to God and say, God, it was wrong what they did to me. You know, it was wrong what happened to me in my childhood. It was wrong what happened to me. I don't know why it happened. You know? But we've got to come to God to ask him to avenge us of our adversaries, the things in our lives that has caused us challenges, caused us troubles, has set us back, right? Some things we caused by the decisions that we made, right? And we have to accept that, and we have to accept those consequences. But some things were out of our control, right? Some situations that we had to go through was out of our control because they were enacted upon us. And because those things were enacted upon us, we then went and made, detrimental decisions to our lives that caused us certain outcomes of no fault of our own. And we find ourselves in situations where we're not happy. We find ourselves in situations where you say, oh my God, how did I get here? I was expecting to be here. I was expecting to be further along by now. I was expecting to have more results in my life. But look at where I'm at now. It just looks like I'm at the bottom. God, how did I get here at the bottom? I'm not supposed to be at the bottom. So we've got to have faith to continue to cry out to God. It's faith that says, Lord, I want you to return upon my enemies what happened to me, the trouble, the struggle, the suffering that I went through. I want you to return it upon my enemies. And so that's the reason why you've had to wait so long, because God is waiting for you to take the courage. God is waiting for you to take the confidence that though he bear along with you, though you've been going through what you've been going through for a long time, though you've been in this mess, though you've been in this delay for a long time, you're saying, no, I'm not going to accept this situation. I'm not going to accept this delay. This is not my life. This is not my portion. I'm not supposed to be at the bottom. I'm not going to accept the bottom. The top is where I belong. I'm the cream of the crop. I'm supposed to rise to the top. So let me tell you a story to encourage you. So if you're not new to my channel, or if you're new to my channel, I have an athletic background. I played Division I at the University of Kentucky. I was able to earn a college scholarship, which is a blessing, and I'm so grateful. But I started the sport basketball late. When I was around 9 years old, even 9 years old was kind of late to start. But I started like around 9 years old. And back then I was really shy. I was really timid. And it was my first day playing. And my dad had put me on a team with a bunch of boys. And so, you know, I was already scared. And I had made a mistake where we were doing just a basic layup line. And I passed the ball to the wrong line. And doing that mistake, they corrected me and said, oh, no, pass it over there. And I was just so embarrassed, you know, of that mistake that I ran out of the gym and I ran out crying. And I ran to my mom and I was like, I can't do it. I can't do it. I'm not going back in there. Don't make me go back in there. And literally, I did not go back in there. I didn't play until 2 years later. And so 2 years later, when I was 11 years old, I got back into the sport. And by then, you know, everybody that has been playing since they were 5 or 6, they're well advanced. They're well advanced in the sport. They know the sport. They understand it. They're starting to develop their skills. Well, I'm just out there just, you know, running up and down the court. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm in the game, but I'm not a part of the game, right? And so that's how you can feel when you are, you know, starting something late. You're like, you know, I showed up late, you know, everybody else is better than me, is doing, and they know what they're doing. And I'm not even a part of the game. You know, like if I was getting the ball at the time, I was, you know, passing it, or, you know, I was not really getting involved in the game. Until eventually, you know, I started to develop and I started to understand the game. And you know, I went from, you know, just running up and down the court, not really touching the ball, to all of a sudden, you know, getting the ball and, you know, starting to develop where I'm dribbling and I'm shooting and things of that nature. And then all of a sudden, you know, I got on different AAU teams, and actually I got on some of the best and some of the top AAU teams, and that was able to develop my sport, so to develop my game. So to make a long story short, from starting late to accelerating to overtaking to being able to be a Division I athlete earning a scholarship. And that's really what my story is. And so what is that saying? It says that, you know, sometimes we feel like we are behind, you know, and we got in the game late, and we get discouraged because we say, well, these people, you know, they've been in the game of entrepreneurship for a long time. You know, I'm behind. It feels like it's too late for me. You know, I don't know if I can do it. I don't know if I can, you know, catch up to where those people are. But God is saying that it's not about catching up to anybody, because when his hand is on you, you're going to not only catch up, you're going to accelerate and you're going to overtake. You know, there were some players at that time who had been in the game for a very long time. And when it came down to it, they didn't really go to a top university like I did. You know, and there was some players at that time that I played against, and they went to a top tier university, you know, but I was right there alongside of them, right there at the same level, but we didn't get the same start. So this is another reason why God has made you wait so long. It's because he wants to show you that it's not of your own strength and your own ability, but it's him, because he's going to accelerate you and cause you to overtake. Because if it was up to you, you take the credit. You say, oh, look at me, you know, I'm special, I did it, you know, blah, blah, blah. No, it's him, so that you can know, not only you, but the people who have known you, right? Because the people who have known you, they know that you wasn't a nothing. They knew that you didn't know what you was doing. Isn't that the player that just got in the game? They didn't know what they was doing. They was out there just running up and down looking crazy. Ain't this the person that, you know, they was in the hood and they was broke and they was on food stamps? And isn't it the person that was on the bus last week? You know, isn't that the person that mama and the daddy was a crackhead? And You feel what I'm saying? So that's the reason why God want to make you wait for so long. So that when you get to where you're going, when you rise to the top, you know that you can't take the credit. It's God that got you there. And you can only give him the credit. And so I never expected that I was going to become a Division I athlete and go to a illustrious university like University of Kentucky. I didn't have that vision when I first started the game of basketball. That was not even something that I was expecting or looking forward to. But let me tell you, when God has a place for you, when God has something for you, it's going to be bigger than you can imagine. You might have said, well, I'm just doing this because, you know, it's just good exercise. It's a good thing to be a part of. I'm just so happy to be a part of the club. But God says, no, I got bigger for you. I've got better for you. This is going to be bigger than what you can imagine. You just said, well, God, if I could just get, you know, if I could just get $25 an hour, I would be good, God. You know, if I could just, if I could just, no, God says bigger than that, bigger than that, bigger than that, bigger than that. How do we know? Because he said, now unto him that is able to do exceedingly abundantly above all you can ask, think, or imagine. Ephesians 3:20. So you have to know that what God has in store for you is bigger than what you can imagine. And the reason why he had to bear along with you is because he's building up your spiritual muscles. He's building up that faith in you, that courage in you. And he wants you to know that when you get there, let me tell you, when you get to the top, don't you dare forget and don't you dare start taking credit, because you know that you could not have gotten there on your own. It was God that got you there. So I hope this word has been an encouragement to you. I'm going to end it there. I want you to leave me a comment if you've been blessed by this word. If you've been encouraged, let me know. Leave me a comment. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your likes, and thank you for subscribing, and I'll catch you in the next video.